Real as
All right, so we're excited to be here with Alla, not Alla.
Not Alla.
So we're excited to be here. I want to jump right in. Tell us about the ink.
The ink. Well, there's a lot of ink, so that's an interesting thing right there.
Because I noticed that I saw a story or something, and I was like, oh, it's not just the really cool story you told me.
Not just this ink.
Are we talking about a business?
Right? What ink?
That ink. Okay.
This is the ink. This is the main ink. So that one right there. And the story with this is I've always been in like self-development, important to me. I love listening to books. Why? Because who's got time to sit and read?
Hey, look, imagine that in the same room. I get all my good books from her.
Oh, let me get in that group so I know what they are.
We interchange them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Around.
Well, and so, you know then, because you're a runner also, like listening to books while you run, that piece, that has been huge for me.
It's a good way to stop counting the miles.
So
for sure.
true. It takes you out, you out of that. And one book I was listening to was called The Last Arrow by Erwin McManus.
Great
and that one I've listened to multiple times because it speaks to me every time. There's always something different.
So good.
Well, so in that book he says that when we're born, God gives us this quiver full of arrows, and our job is to use all of those arrows in our lifetime. But sadly, many people don't. They choose not to take the risk. They choose not to take that chance or go that direction, and so those arrows stay in the quiver. And it was important to me to put that arrow on my wrist with the word inspire because I want to use my arrows and inspire people along the way. And this came during a time when I was working in hospice and palliative care, and so I did a lot of work as a social worker, and I did a lot of work with my clients around, the legacy that you're leaving, and having a good death, and what do those things look like? And for a lot of people, that was using those arrows. They were living their life. They were, taking that trip with the family, or they were, going to go try that crazy, ridiculous food, or, whatever it was. They were going to go jump out of an airplane.
Yeah,
they were going to live. And so it was really important to me to, like I said, put that arrow there as a reminder to use my arrows and inspire people along the way. This Ironman race, if you guys are familiar, it's a triathlon. It's a 2.4 mile swim. I won't get the numbers wrong. That's why I have it on here, so I can add it up. So it's a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and then a 26.2 mile run. And you do it consecutively. And I had wanted to do an Ironman since I was probably 20, and I had just heard about triathlons, and I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. So I did these smaller triathlons.
Okay, that was going to be my question. You built up to this. Okay.
Oh, definitely. And did these smaller triathlons, but always thought, I'm not going to be able to do that until the kids are out of school or whatever, because it's so much time goes into the training.
Oh, yeah.
And around that time in my life, Guy and I started dating, and we were talking about dreams, and I said, an Ironman triathlon, that's a huge bucket list item for me. Yeah. But I just, I don't see when that's going to be possible. And he's like, oh, wait, why don't we do it now? And I was like, kids are little, they're they're 3 and 5, and I just, how do we do that? Well, then we signed up for the race, we start training, and then COVID happens.
Oh.
And we've got, 60 races lined up that year. We were ready to do this. And every single race was canceled except for this.
That one.
No way.
So,
Destiny.
Right?
Except for the full one.
Except for the full triathlon.
That's crazy.
Well, and I think of it too, because I think man, for all that work I put in, if we wouldn't have got to do that race, I would have been so bummed out.
Yeah.
Because it was so much of you have this goal and you're working towards it, but you don't know if you're actually going to get a chance to try for that goal.
I feel like it's already hard enough to train for that stuff, and having that extra doubt, am I even going to get to do it? And the fact that you still powered through that is pretty crazy.
It was wild.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you find value in this content, please like, subscribe, and let us know any other topics you want us to talk about in the future. Thank you.
Okay, so good call, Becky.
I didn't want to really switch because you are smelly or anything like that.
It's
just easier to talk, so you don't have to look back and
Good
forth.
call.
Yeah.
Good
We're
call.
athletes. It's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, progress. We're in training here.
We're learning. We're growing up so fast. So you made it to that race.
Made it to that race, and it was quite a journey. Still COVID times, right? This was in November of 2020 is when this race happened. And I traveled to Cozumel, Mexico. And we chose that one because the water is clear there, so it's just beautiful. And we figured if we can get through the swim, we're going to be able to get on land, and then we can make the bike and the run happen. And it's what happened. It was a crazy journey. During the race, got through the swim, was feeling pretty good. Get out, transition to the bike. You go around the island 3 times in this race. So I'm on my first lap around the island, and they have these special little areas where you can leave goodies during the race, like just pick-me-ups or whatever they might be.
Okay.
Or if you needed some anti-chafing lotion or anything like that, you've
little
got
fuel stations.
Yeah, you've got spots like that. So we're coming up on one, and this was a nutty thing. Because it was COVID, the shipping company that was going to ship our bikes there took off without telling us. They left early.
Man.
And so we couldn't get our bikes to Mexico, and we're like, okay, what do we do?
Oh, no.
And we'd never traveled internationally for a race, so we decided, we'll rent bikes.
Oh boy.
Anybody who's done races knows that you
Need
train
your bike.
with what you race with. You
Yes.
race with what you train with.
Not new shoes for the marathon.
Yeah, we don't switch that up. Well, we were like, we're switching it up. So the bike that I got,
you did.
the bike that I got, I didn't realize there were issues with the brakes until I'm coming around the island the first time. And so I'm coming up on that aid station stop point, and I'm going pretty fast, but I'm slowing down so I can get there. I hit the brakes. There were only brakes on the front tire. So what did I do?
Endo.
Pooh, over the top.
No.
I come up and bounce up, and these little Hispanic men were running towards me, and they're like, "Señorita, señorita," and I was like, "Bicicleta, bicicleta," because I'm like, that bike's broken, I can't finish this race.
If you didn't
And
want
of
to
course
finish
that was
the
your
race,
thought.
you could have been less dramatic.
Right. Come on, Alla. So then they're there wiping the blood off my shoulder because I have a nice souvenir on my shoulder from that fall.
Cool.
And the handles are all jacked up. So I was like, "Can you fix this?" And they're looking at me like, "Oh, okay, fine." They can't touch it because that would be disqualifying from the race.
Okay.
So I was like, "Well, I don't have any tools. We're going with it." So when I go through town, on the cobblestone roads, my handlebars would go just down. It's like I have to push them back up. So I did that for 112 miles.
As you're
That is
going through
crazy.
the PTSD of just flipping over the front.
yeah. No, it was nutty.
That reminds me of
It
someone
was
else.
Oh, I've never felt like that's for
But
next
you'd
time.
keep going.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah, that's
so,
awesome.
Yeah, just to keep going.
So I want to talk about that because I feel like the triathlon, not to overwrought the literary side of things, but I feel like the triathlon is actually just a metaphor for this Alla. Tell me about that.
That's interesting.
Because I feel
Triathlon
like
metaphor.
so just to be clear, you two, I should probably not be in this because you guys are both extreme. You're crazy.
Yeah, you're not
extreme.
at all.
If
I know.
I was that person, I would have been my bike's jacked up, my shoulders are jacked up. There's probably a beer cart somewhere, and I would have toddled over there and been like, "Yeah, I tried." But
First
tell
of all,
me about
that's a
that
lie.
piece. Tell me about that piece. I feel like there's these people that I look up to. There's this heroic quality, and the heroic quality is not the race, not the charity, not the selling X amount of homes. It's really this other piece of just finding really hard things to do and do. Who does triathlons for fun?
Especially an
who
Ironman.
runs 20 miles and is like, "Oh, I only did 20 miles today." I call Becky and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, you do your ice bath challenge. You do 2 or 3 minutes. Oh, 20 minutes." There's this other realm of people. Tell me about that piece. That part, that's the interesting piece to me.
Yeah, how did you get into it? I mean, I think what you're asking is the mental side of it. and all
Yeah,
that.
what makes you do those kind of things?
Yeah.
The endurance sports. That's an interesting thing. I think a lot of what attracted me to it initially, and I did my first marathon when I was 25, 5, I believe, is because it is a hard thing. It's a hard thing, and not a lot of people can say, yeah, I've done that. And there's a lot of pride that comes from knowing that you put in the work and you accomplished that, and hopefully inspired people along the way.
Yeah, tell me about the inspiration piece, because I think there's a lot of people who do it. Like, I do things because I want to prove it to myself, but there's this other index, hence the tattoo, about wanting to inspire. Like, it's not just for you, is it?
Oh, definitely not. And that's the thing I think that gets me through a lot of the hard, like, the mental work of endurance sports. Because my mom said something to me years ago, and it sticks with me whenever I'm having a hard day. Like, it comes to the front of my mind. She's like, there are so many people out there that wish they could do the physical things that you're doing. So like true. They're sitting in a hospital bed, they're paralyzed, they're, you know, whatever it might be, they are unable to. They don't have that choice. You have the choice. You can go out there and do it and get it done. And she was at your seminar most recently, so and well, I love that she said, I can do anything that I put my mind to. And I was like, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, like, that's my mama.
That is, you know, like, and that's the truth. And I've seen her do that. I saw her go through college when she was in her 40s, you know, get her AA, get her bachelor's, get her master's. Like, I got to watch that and raise kids at the same time and a family. And so I think, having role models, people that you look up to that inspire you. I keep going to that word because you can't motivate people, but you can inspire them. I look at it that way. By lighting something up in them, making them feel something, you can inspire them to make change. Yeah.
And I love that word that you're using. I know we overuse it, but because the actual Latin is in, so putting something in, inspire is breath. And so like when I'm around you, and I hear your story, it's not just like, oh, that's neat, like a little meme or a little thing on Pinterest. There's this breath that's being, and like being around Becky, she's super inspiring all the time. Like, I've been inspired by her for the last 3 years. Like, I'm being a better person. And in that, it's not just, oh, that's cool, you get a warm fuzzy. It's no, there's a breath, like you're actually a different human being being around. And that, I love that about that.
I love that so much. Cool. No, that's a way to explain it.
Okay, so how did you get into this? Like, how did you start, why did you want to run a marathon when you were 25? And why did you want to do an Ironman? And I mean, not a lot of people want to do those things, let alone actually do them.
Solid question. You saying that takes me back to 3rd grade when I saw a flyer come out for baseball tryouts, and I was like, oh, I know it says for boys, but I want to play baseball, Mom. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And I had never played baseball, t-ball, any of those things, and so it was like, let's get into it. And I did, and I sucked at first. I did. But you know what? Stayed with it, kept working, and then eventually, years later, because I kept playing, I was on like the all-star teams, and we were traveling around with the boys, playing baseball.
Good
and
for you.
It was, I don't know, there's just something about doing things that maybe society or the world says, oh, that's not for you. It's like, that's not up to you. That's not up to you.
I love that.
That's up to me, right? Yeah. And I give my mom a lot of credit, raising me, like believing that, I can do that. Cool. But with the marathon, I wasn't a runner. In fact, like I played sports all through high school, a little bit into college, and I was like,
that's boring.
Like, I hate running, not my thing. Well, got to a point with my health that I had gone to the doctor, and he's like, you are morbidly obese. Your blood pressure is high. Your cholesterol is high. If you don't do something about it, I'm gonna put you on medication. Oh, wow. And he's like, it could be hereditary. Like, it runs in your family. And I was like, sure, but I'm 25. This is lifestyle. Like, I need to do something better for myself. And so then I was like, what can I do? I go home, start looking, and I was like, well, plant-based diet. Let's check that out, see what that does for me. And I transitioned into eating a plant-based diet. It helped me.
What was your diet before that? Like,
I was depressed. I would say I was depressed. I was going to grad school at the time, and I was working at an inpatient psych unit. I was working with the kids and working with adults, and it was emotionally heavy. Okay. And I wasn't taking the time to take care of myself.
So you were eating whatever you could put in front of your face at that
I was
moment.
intentional. I mean, I'd stop at Fred Meyer's after work and grab a pint or two of Ben and Jerry's and take those home and sit down and watch TV and eat them.
Okay, so it was totally lifestyle, like the emotional eating.
Yeah.
And that. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
It's funny because when you said pint, I was thinking,
beer, me
Ben
too.
and Jerry's. I'm like, oh, that totally makes sense. Yeah,
I've
done that before.
That's a big shift to make. Like I'm going to go all in on plant-based diet from that.
It was definitely that, and I didn't want to go on a pill either because it's like, this is stuff I can take care of. Why do I need to take a pill?
Yeah.
It's lifestyle stuff. So changing how I ate, and then I started to feel a little better, and I was like, oh, well, I'm not a runner, but a marathon sounds badass. so then I was like, Portland. I love Portland, Oregon. Sign up for the Portland Marathon.
So it was the idea of running a marathon. Because I guess my next question was like, why running? Of all the exercises you could do.
Because it was hard. Because it was hard for me.
Because that's hardcore. It's not like I'm just going to start going to the gym a couple times a week and get on the bike for 20 minutes to try and get this going.
Absolutely.
It's just all in.
And when you're 225 pounds, that was what I was at that doctor's appointment, running doesn't feel good at all. That's a lot of extra weight to carry around.
Joints,
And I started, because I couldn't run, I'll back up. The training plan, it was called The Non-Runner's Guide to Marathon Training. Great book if anybody's wanting to get into that. But they do the work, like the mental work, they work with you on that. And then obviously the run, the mileage that you need to be running. But through that book, it said you have to be able to run for 30 minutes before you can start training. I mean, I could not do that.
I don't think a lot of people can.
Right?
I can't either.
So I had to I did Couch to 5K, if you guys have heard that. So it's like a run, walk, get you into it. Got to that point where I could run for 30 minutes, and then it was time for the marathon training. And that was a journey. It absolutely was. And I was still, the day I ran that marathon, I was still considered obese. I was 197 pounds that day. But I ran that whole marathon, so cool. And it was just an awesome moment. I'll never forget.
Moment,
never forget. Big time. Time.
I'm molding the clay to be what I want it to be.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because that's what we get to do in this life. We have that choice.
Yeah.
It's all in front of us.
And that's the thing is we think we don't.
Definitely.
We think we have no choice, and we do.
Yeah.
I love that.
We let the outside circumstances make too much noise. We listen to them, and it's
Bark back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I like that, actually. I like that. Should.
Yeah, I like
Should.
Yeah.
Write that one down.
Yeah. Two things. So what would you say kept you inspired? Because I feel like it's really easy to start something, and a lot of people get that motivation that isn't very long lasting, right? So what kept you going to be able to actually do this day after day? And also, what would you say, besides like the physical part of it, was there a lot more that changed along the way besides that for you?
Oh, yes. So the first part, I'm losing. I'm jumping to the other one.
Sorry, my bad.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, back up because I'm totally blanking on the first question.
Okay, so what kept you going day after day?
Okay, so what kept me going is integrity. That's something that has always been, since a little girl, like that word fascinates me, and I feel very strongly about it. It's something that my boys can tell you all about, because I want them to be men who operate with integrity in everything that they do. And I want to be known as someone who does that. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Love it.
You can expect that. You can trust me in that.
Yeah.
Like that's, no matter what I have to go through to do it, like we're gonna make that happen. There have been a few times in my life where that wasn't the case, and that those were some of the hardest times in my life that I couldn't own up to that promise or make that happen. But there's a gift in that too, in that you're able to, recognize that, sometimes things aren't for you and you have to say no and walk away.
Yeah.
So lessons in that. The second part, okay, I lost it already.
Okay, so the second part is, did you notice any other changes? Like everyone focuses on your physical changes when you start running or working out and whatnot, but I think that there's such bigger changes that can happen, and I'm wondering if there was more than that for you.
Big time. I think, like having to get yourself up at 4 a.m. to make sure you get your mileage in before you
yeah.
go to work for the day, or
That's
you
for
know,
you.
that is what you guys do, right? Yeah, no, I mean, because it's when you can do it, but you made that promise to yourself, and
that integrity piece.
yeah, and I harp on the boys about that too. I'm like, if you're gonna make a promise to yourself, keep it.
Yeah.
Like you are the most important person. That, like, if you were to let yourself down in that way, it crumbles.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to keep the promises you make to yourself. And so, the mental work that came from that, I mean, pushing yourself distances that you've never gone before, having to, choose not to go out to that party and stay away from this or that because this is a priority. This is more important than that, The mental work, though, it's that. I mean, it makes you strong when you have to push yourself kind of through the fire so many times again and again. Like, you build an endurance and a strength from that. I mean, I pull on that strength often. Had to today during a trying moment. It was like when the world feels like it's gonna crush, when you're, and you're like, you compare that to running. You're out running and you feel like, I can't do another mile, I can't do another step.
Right.
It's that extra oomph that you have to keep going, because you know that if you just go 5 more, it's going to get a little easier.
Just 5 more.
It could be 5 more steps, could be miles, could be 5 more, I don't know. But
that is something I think that's really unique about running, and why I think it builds such a mental toughness, because you can't stop. It's like, shit, I'm 9 miles out here, I gotta go 9 miles back, or who's gonna come get me up here?
That's the truth.
So you have to make it back.
Well, and it was kind of like, we had messaged about this just a little bit when I was in Vegas and I had to do a 10-mile run, and I did it on a treadmill at a gym. I didn't know, but I bonked. Like, it was awful, but I had 10 miles I'd committed to myself, and so it's like, okay, even if I have to walk, we're getting the 10 miles in. And I did, and it was rough, but it's like, I felt good afterwards because I had said I was doing 10 miles.
Heck yeah.
So
I love that. That's amazing.
Those things.
Yeah, that's amazing. You guys, you runner people, you're a different breed.
We're psycho.
Yeah, you guys are, but in such a good way. And I both of you have that. When I talk to either one of you and say, this is what's going to happen, I know it's going to happen. And I think it goes back to that running mentality. Like, I'm the opposite. Like, I'm going to do 2 miles at most, and I'm going to give myself an out.
You're full of shit.
When it comes to running, no.
No, anything.
But I love that.
You'll go twice the amount.
If it's fighting, if there's punching involved, maybe.
Okay.
But like, I just love that piece of the integrity and the fact that, the race, like Paul talks about the race, and in the Bible, it's like, okay, I'm running the race. I'm beating my body to make myself this thing. Because really what you're talking about is not a set of behaviors. You're actually talking about who you are at heart. And both of you guys are runners. And I imagine that at some point, both of you have been bleeding or cramped up finishing your race. But that's who you are. And that's why I depend on people like you. I know those are the people I'm going to, like, if something goes south, I'm calling Becky. There's a million people in my contacts, but I'm calling Becky. Because Becky's a runner, and so are you. I love that about you guys. Both of you are feminists, so I love the fact that you're feminists. There's a kind of a misnomer. 92% of Americans think that feminism is a negative thing, because first wave, suffrage. Second wave, legislature. Third wave, social acclamation. Fourth wave, because I know I'm wrong. All the feminists will be like, no, there's no fourth wave. We're in the third wave. There is a fourth wave. Fourth wave is counter-feminism and feminism. So we're in this weird arena where feminism become this bad word, but at heart, feminism is egalitarianism. It's this equality. Neither one of you guys look like stereotypical feminists, because we've typecast feminists as this weird, aggressive, combative, kind of misandrous person. But in actuality, that was never the intention of feminists. So I want to talk about that piece. If it's a conscious thing, it's something that you do deliberately, or you just, because any woman who is strong and throws off the yoke of the social constructs of I have to do it in the say of a man, they're naturally a feminist. Now, again, it's not like you hate men, I hope. No. We're sitting here having a good conversation.
Not all of them.
So, and I don't think feminism was ever intended to be that. So the new breed of feminism, if we get past this fourth wave where we hate feminism because we have it typecasted wrong, is you people. And so I'm curious about that piece. Is it a deliberate thing? Because if I was to take my daughter, Hallie, I would be like, hang out with Becky. If you hang out with Becky, you'll know what a strong woman should be. My wife's amazing. Like, she hangs out with her all the time. She gets that. But sometimes we need to hear it from somebody other than mom. I'd be like, and I imagine you're probably the same way. Tell me about that piece.
Yeah, well, you say, is it like something that's intentional or just more in?
Organic?
And, yeah, it feels organic because it's like, it's who we are. We're women, and we want to make a difference in the world. And how do we do that? For me, it's getting out there, it's being kind, it's giving a light out to people. And, like you mentioned the Bible, absolutely, what Paul's talking about in the race and showing God's love. That's a big thing for me. I want, like, when I walk into a room, I hope that I make people feel welcome and loved, and not anything from me necessarily, but to show God's love. Like, this is an unconditional love thing that I talk about a lot too with the kids, because it's like, that makes everybody so much better when we operate from that realm.
This makes so much more sense, because when I was invited to your party at your house, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I just knew it was very welcoming. Both you and your husband were super well, and not just because I won a bunch of money.
You did. Poker player.
Oh, it's like, oh, of course. Yep,
But I did feel that, and it was such a warm environment. And now this all makes sense.
Yeah. What's important to me, like, I know how I feel when I meet somebody like the two of you. You guys are genuine. You give love. You have lights about you, and like to know that and know you, I mean, it makes me better.
That's the best part about it, right?
Right.
It's just the reciprocating those feelings.
100%. And that's why, like what we were saying earlier, to surround yourself with people who have that, that is like, that's the magic, that's the secret sauce, because life, I mean, it can bring you down. There's a lot of negativity in this world. And even if we're trying to block it out, the people that are in our circle that we spend time with, if they are negative and they are down, like we're not going to thrive. And so I think that is the huge part of it. So I kind of jumped. I don't know if I answered your question correctly.
No, you did. I'm going to pull you back to one piece, though.
Okay.
So, like, much better. Like, you engineered a much better answer than my little question. But here's my secondary piece, kind of a follow-up, is, okay, so there's a ton of pressure on women. And I love, like, when you come to our women's empowerment seminars, because Becky's created it's a mission. It's this mission, it's this movement. It's not, I can come in, I was pretty small-minded, narrow-minded, and it's like, okay, we'll give them some strategies in their minds, but it's mostly like, okay, here's how you fight back. And then Becky opened up this whole realm of, no, let's fight back in our minds first, and our hearts first. But one of the things we talk about in those self-defense seminars very much is there's this tremendous pressure on women. There's this tremendous, I would say, assault on women. So you have the actual assaults the physical assaults, but I think there's this emotional assault that's happening to women all the time. So is that a piece in your mind that, is there a deliberate, because I really, like, I'm an Asian. There's not a lot of Asians in Reno. So when I see another Asian, they're always really nice to me. And it takes me a moment, because I was brought up white, to realize, oh, they're being nice because I'm Asian, and there's not many of us, and we're not. Like, if you go to San Jose, you go to San Francisco, we're exalted as a group of people. We're not here. And so there's this extra kindness. I think women sort of are in that same place where we want to be egalitarian. You don't want to be like, oh, you're a man, you're not invited. But I do think there's this piece where there has to be this extra layer of deliberateness, intentionality. Do you find that, or are you like, well, I can transcend that. I just be a light to everybody, and it'll just organically happen?
No, I mean, you see that everywhere, and what you're talking about. And I think that's when there's that opportunity to have the mental shift. Like, okay, I could go down this road with that, or I can go down more of a positive road with it and empower other people and encourage other people through that. Like, your seminars, you guys, they're awesome. Love them. And I can't wait to go
We
to
love
more.
having you, Adam.
Like,
I know, it's
What's
great.
the energy?
It's like almost like a plant in the audience.
It is.
Well, it feels just very, you've formed a great community in that, and I love that, I go there and I feel comfortable speaking, and I feel very like, I want to share some of this knowledge that I have on these subjects because it could help these other women, and even just saying it might do something for me too. But like, to know that maybe you had a hand in helping somebody be better or do more, like, That's such a cool thing.
Best
It
thing
is
ever.
such a gift. I mean, that's one of the reasons, like, social media. It's a love-hate thing with social media for
Yeah.
me, but I love when I get messages from people saying, thank you for being honest about whatever that was you were talking about. Thank you for showing us that you were 240 pounds at your heaviest, and then you've done triathlons and you've done these things. Like, you've given me hope. You've inspired me, and like
I love that.
those are like the pats on the back, like, hey, you are doing a good job. Someone is paying attention. It is worth sharing your story. It is worth talking to people about what's going on in your life, because it can impact them in that way. And so, being able to share at your seminars, like, it's just such a cool thing.
So cool.
Like, yeah.
I love that. You can you can use it for positivity.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like, you're
Anything,
showing them it's
right?
possible because
Yeah.
you've done it.
Yeah.
You're living proof.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hope it does help people use their arrows,
Oh, we wanted to touch on, really, do we want to touch on?
AWCMS.
Yeah. I don't
So she
ever
can put a little
remember
pitch
the
for
name
that.
of it.
we just voted to change the name.
Okay,
So
what is the name of,
that's-
and what do you do there?
Yes.
And what do you guys do? I mean, I know kind of what you
Yeah.
do, but are you guys lobbyists?
No, we're not lobbyists.
Okay.
But we do support legislation to
Okay.
keep physicians in Northern Nevada and recruit new ones here, because there's a shortage of skilled physicians in our area. So
For
that's
sure.
definitely a portion of it. But AWCMS stands for the Alliance with the Washoe County Medical Society.
Okay.
We've been around since 1947 in Reno.
Wow, you look great for your age.
Thank you. All the Botox. just thanks. No.
That's cool, though.
It is. It's cool. And they've done a lot of good over the years, raised a lot of money for health-related charities, as also with the legislation work, and then just forming a community, physician spouses and partners, because it's an interesting lifestyle when your partner is gone majority of the
Oh,
time,
yeah, I'll
and
bet.
caring
And
for
at any time,
others.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's that support in that network. But a big part of what we're trying to do is we support health-related charities here in Washoe County, and just make a difference in that way. Recently, we've supported Safe Embrace. I know you guys are
Love it.
part of that too.
Yes, big fans.
Yes, we have Evoke Warriors program. We
that's
raised
cool.
money last year to support them. We are Lead with Horses is another one. They do equine assisted therapy for kids in Northern Nevada, and the emphasis is mental health. So they're another one of our chosen charities. We have a Think First is another one that we're going to be raising funds for soon, which is started by a local neurosurgeon who was tired of seeing kids coming into into his operating room with head injuries that could be prevented by helmets. So we have that here in Northern Nevada, and we're going to be raising funds for them next April. That'll be our big event. And
So
yeah. So that's a big part of what we do. Is that
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, kind of wrapping up, what is your vision? What is your mission? What's your epitaph? Like, what's on the headpiece? Like, when you go out, what is it that you want to have accomplished?
I think you would have asked me that 10 years ago. It would have been this list of things. Now it's more of a feeling I'm chasing, more of a peace.
Yeah.
Having a life, what am I chasing? I'm chasing a life that is organic and peaceful, and that light is able to just flow. Like, it's not a scheduled day to day in my phone racing from here to there and all these things, and I'm caught in that now. I'm there, but it's the mindful intention of trying to just be present in that moment, to love on my family and friends, enjoy the things that are in front of me, and not be so focused on, you want to make sure your bank account's at this, or you've invested this much money, and you're,
Yeah.
I get why those things are important, and why they are a part of our lives, but at the same time, what I'm chasing, it's that peace.
Yeah.
So you're chasing, you understand those are important, but they're important for that, right? That's why we want all of those things. So
Does
I
help.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting piece. I like what you said, how 10 years ago you would, because it's like with wisdom, not knowledge, but with wisdom, you take the main course on the menu and they become the dessert and the appetizers, and then one of those things that was once upon a time kind of a side dish becomes the main course piece. It's like, oh, I got a little piece from this, I got a little piece from that. It's not important. There's no monetary piece that I can put on that piece. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and realize that's actually that's the stake. Everything else is fairly unimportant in comparison.
Yeah, no, truly.
It's
and
cool.
When that happens, it's interesting how your perspective shifts, and what you choose to do with your time. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm grateful that hit
I love
me.
that. I love that.
That's cool.
I love that. Love having you. I loved hearing you. It's like I said, I'm sandwiched between these pillars of wisdom, and I love it. It's such a great place. Obviously, you're pushing this out. We're putting it out for marketing, all that stuff. But honestly, at the end of the day, what I'm going to take away is that conversation. Like, what a wonderful conversation to be a part of.
Thanks, friend.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. We really enjoyed having you. So if people want to follow your story or your story of
The AWCMS.
where
Yes.
can they find you guys?
Well, Instagram is a great place. I'm at alla.shock. It's ALLA.SCHOCK.
Awesome.
That C always
And
gets
we'll
people.
put it in the comments.
Yeah, we'll put it in here.
And then at AWCMS.
Okay.
And
And I think that's linked in your personal profile?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Should all be in there.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Alla. Like Alabama.
You know it.
Like I said, I feel like when you first explained to me that, and
What did I do? I feel like this is a me thing.
we just
Oh, it's kind of fun.
I know, really, right?
Boom.
We need some music.
Real as